Jaylen Brown is non-committal on his future. Non-committal, right? Am I saying that? He's not committing to his future with the Celtics. And I've said this. First off, you guys don't know, Jaylen Brown chose to go to Cal as a one and done so that he could get a proper education in his 1 year. And then he graduated, I believe, in 2018 with his degree, even though he was in the NBA. People don't realize that Jaylen Brown's a 60-year-old man in a 26-year-old body, all right? And he's not committing on his future with the Celtics as he's 1 year away from free agency. And I talked with my friend Luke, who's a huge Celtics fan, and we both kind of agreed that Jaylen Brown would be the type of guy to leave $30 million on the table to be able to go home to his hometown, Atlanta, and not only be able to be the face of one of, if not the face of the franchise there with Trae Young, but to be an activist in Atlanta. I think that means really a lot to him, to be with his people and to help make a difference. And this is a quote he told The Ringer. I don't know. As long as I'm needed. It's not up to me. We'll see how they feel about me over time and how I feel about them over time. Hopefully, whatever it is, it makes sense. But I will stay where I'm wanted. I will stay where I'm needed and treated correctly. End quote, Brown told The Ringer. And Brown is unlikely to sign an extension in the near future with the Celtics because he would make considerably more money as a free agent. That could change if he makes an All-NBA team this year, which quite possibly could, and then the Celtics could offer him the supermax. Now, when asked how long he wants to play with Tatum, Brown keeps his focus on the immediate future. So let me hear your thoughts, guys. What do you think? I think there is a possibility that he stays, but I think Jaylen Brown's a guy, like we all agree that Jaylen Brown's the better defender between Tatum and Brown. And I think he's jaded a little bit that they swaddled and coddled Tatum, but they didn't really do that to Brown. And Brown was just drafted the year before, the same overall. So I think there is some, how do you put it? Just weirded out. Like, I think, again, it goes back to him being a 26-year-old with the mind of a 60-year-old. He's one of the smartest guys ever. Like, the guy got offered a NASA internship from how smart he is. So, I've always been a bigger Jaylen Brown. This is my opinion. I personally think, and if you look at this, Jaylen Brown's a guy I like, that I think is... A little side comment that I thought of while I was sitting here in my living room was Jaylen Brown. I had this whole argument with my friend that I've mentioned throughout the video, who's a huge Celtics fan. If you guys don't know, one of my best friends is a diehard Celtics fan because his family's from Boston, and my dad's a diehard Boston Celtics fan because he went to school at Waltham in Cambridge because he went to Bentley. And I think Jaylen Brown, I think he's an all-NBA player on the Celtics. But I think there's a legit argument that could be made that if he were to take his talent, as I've mentioned before, the Atlanta Hawks, and let's say Trae Young isn't the leading scorer, Jaylen Brown is the leading scorer, and he's the number one touches, and Trae Young becomes more of a facilitator. Jaylen Brown could average 30. Jaylen Brown could maybe even put himself in the MVP conversation. He's a better defender. He could also be a guy who could put himself in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. I think those are just all circumstances that people aren't, thinking about. And I want to hear your guys' thoughts on that. If you guys do agree, I just, when you have a guy like Jaylen Brown, it's rather hard to think about the fact, like, the Celtics can't let him walk. But if there was any team out there, you should be doing everything you can to get him, because he is gettable, and players of his caliber don't come along. Obviously, you would like to pair him up with him to being the number two. I think he's going to be going into free agency, and if there's already a star there, he's going to be like, well, tell your star, he's going to be my Robin. I'm Batman. So, I think that's what Jaylen Brown's going to do. He's going to go to places and be like, I'm Batman. I'm Batman. And will that work? Yeah, I think it'll be fine. But that's basically going to be the video, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy. Hit that like and subscribe button. If there was anything I might have missed, let me know down in the comments. But obviously, I would love Jaylen Brown to stay at Boston Celtics. But if I could go see him become a greater player and take another franchise to new heights, because me and Luke said this, I don't think, even if they win a championship this season, and I probably will say this early in the video, if they win it this year, he's still leaving. Maybe if they win it next year, right before he leaves free agency, that'll entice him to stay, because then he'll be like, oh, maybe we go on a run.